Ask Reddit question. What's the most bizarre coincidence you've ever experienced? Story 1. Several years ago, I found myself in the midst of a bizarre coincidence that still leaves me questioning the fabric of reality to this day. It all started during a summer vacation with my family in a quaint coastal town. We were wandering through a bustling marketplace where vendors hawked everything from handmade jewelry to exotic spices. As we strolled past a particularly eclectic booth selling vintage books, an old leather-bound tome caught my eye. Intrigued by its weathered cover and mysterious aura, I impulsively purchased it. Back at our rented beach house later that day, I decided to delve into my new acquisition. The book turned out to be a collection of short stories from different authors, published in the early 20th century. As I flipped through its yellowed pages, a faded photograph slipped out and fell onto my lap. It depicted a group of people dressed in old-fashioned attire, standing in front of an ornate mansion. One man in the photograph caught my attention. He bore a striking resemblance to my grandfather when he was younger. Intrigued, I examined the back of the photograph, where a date and a location were scrawled in elegant script: July 15, 1923, Ravenswood Manor. Curiosity piqued, I showed the photograph to my parents. To my astonishment, my father immediately recognized the mansion in the background. Ravenswood Manor, he explained, had been a prominent estate in this very town before it was demolished in the 1940s. Even more baffling, he recognized the young man in the photograph as well. It was indeed my grandfather, who had never mentioned any connection to this place. Eager to uncover more, we visited the local historical society the next day. There, in the archives, we found a wealth of information about Ravenswood Manor and its former inhabitants. Among them was a distant relative of ours, who had lived there during the early 20th century. The man in the photograph was confirmed to be my grandfather, who had spent a summer at Ravenswood Manor as a child visiting his great-uncle. As we pieced together the details, the sheer improbability of the situation dawned on us. The book, the photograph, and the ancestral connection all converged in a series of events that seemed too surreal to be mere coincidence. It was as though fate had orchestrated a subtle reminder of our family's forgotten past, weaving together threads of time and memory in the most unexpected of ways. To this day, I still marvel at the inexplicable alignment of events that led me to discover a forgotten chapter of my family history through a chance encounter with an old book in a seaside marketplace. It serves as a poignant reminder that sometimes truth is indeed stranger than fiction, and that the past has a mysterious way of resurfacing when we least expect it. Story 2. Years ago, during a spontaneous road trip through the heartland of America, I stumbled upon a series of events that unfolded like a carefully scripted plot from a mystery novel, leaving me both bewildered and fascinated by the mysteries of chance and destiny. It all began on a sunny afternoon when I decided to take a detour off the main highway, drawn by the allure of discovering quaint towns and hidden gems. As luck would have it, my journey led me to a small, picturesque diner nestled along an isolated stretch of country road. With its faded red neon sign and nostalgic charm, the diner seemed frozen in time, beckoning travelers with promises of hearty meals and warm hospitality. Hungry and eager to stretch my legs, I sauntered into the diner and settled at the counter, greeted by the comforting aroma of freshly brewed coffee and the sound of old-time tunes playing softly on a jukebox in the corner. The place was surprisingly bustling for a weekday afternoon, with locals chatting amiably over plates of homemade pie and steaming cups of diner coffee. I struck up a conversation with the elderly waitress, whose warm demeanor and quick wit immediately made me feel at ease. Between taking orders and refilling coffee mugs, she regaled me with stories of the diner's history and the colorful characters who had passed through its doors over the years. It was clear she cherished her role as the keeper of local lore, sharing tales that ranged from heartwarming to downright bizarre. As I sipped my coffee, the conversation took an unexpected turn when the waitress asked where I was headed on my journey. I mentioned a small town further down the road where a distant relative once lived, hoping to uncover a piece of family history and perhaps even trace my roots in this corner of the heartland. To my astonishment, the waitress paused mid-pour, a curious glint in her eye. Without a word, she reached under the counter and produced a worn leather-bound album. Dusting off its cover, She carefully opened it to reveal a collection of yellowed photographs, each telling a story of its own. Among them was a particular photograph that caught my eye. A group of people gathered in front of a familiar-looking farmhouse, unmistakably from a bygone era. And among them stood a young woman who bore an uncanny resemblance to me, my great-grandmother. In disbelief, I realized the farmhouse in the photograph was the very one I had mentioned moments ago. The waitress explained that she had been friends with a descendant of the family who had owned the farmhouse for generations. She had kept this album, believing that one day someone connected to the family would come seeking answers and a connection to their past. As we delved deeper into conversation, it became clear that my impromptu visit to this diner was more than a mere coincidence. The waitress shared anecdotes about my great-grandmother's adventurous spirit and her love for this very diner, where she had worked as a teenager before starting her own family. She recounted stories passed down through generations, painting a vivid picture of a woman ahead of her time, who had left an indelible mark on the community. In that moment, the threads of time seemed to converge, weaving a tapestry of connections between past and present. The chance encounter with the waitress and the discovery of the photograph offered a glimpse into a forgotten chapter of my family's history, revealing how our lives are intricately intertwined with those who came before us and the places they once called home. Leaving the diner that day, I couldn't shake the feeling that some things are meant to happen, guided by forces beyond our understanding. The bizarre coincidence left me with a renewed sense of wonder and gratitude for the serendipitous moments that shape our journeys through life, reminding me of the profound mysteries that lie just beneath the surface of everyday existence. Story 3. Years ago, I embarked on a solo hiking expedition in the rugged wilderness of northern Canada, seeking solitude and adventure amidst towering forests and pristine lakes. Little did I know, my journey would soon take an unexpected turn into the realm of uncanny coincidence. It was a crisp autumn morning when I set out on the trail, the air tinged with the scent of pine and anticipation. Hours passed in tranquil solitude as I navigated winding paths and crossed babbling streams. The forest enveloped me in its serene embrace, a timeless sanctuary where the only sounds were the rustle of leaves and the occasional call of a distant bird. As the day wore on, I encountered another lone hiker, rugged-looking man with a weather-beaten backpack and a determined stride. We exchanged nods of acknowledgement, a silent understanding between fellow adventurers in the vast wilderness. For a while, we walked in companionable silence, each lost in our own thoughts and the rhythm of our footsteps on the forest floor. Eventually, curiosity got the better of me, and I struck up a conversation with the stranger. His name was Jack, a seasoned outdoorsman who shared my passion for exploring remote landscapes. We swapped stories of past expeditions and exchanged tips on navigating the rugged terrain, forging an instant camaraderie born of shared experiences and a mutual love for the wilderness. As we hiked together, Jack mentioned an unusual encounter he'd had years ago in these very woods, a story that sent a shiver down my spine. He recounted stumbling upon an abandoned cabin deep in the forest, its weathered timbers barely visible through the encroaching foliage. Inside, he discovered a journal left behind by a previous occupant, a young woman who had documented her solitary life in the wilderness with eerie detail. Intrigued, I listened intently as Jack described the journal's contents, a tale of isolation, survival, and an unexplained connection to a distant ancestor of his own. He showed me a faded photograph tucked inside the journal, a portrait of the young woman standing beside a towering pine tree, her expression a mix of determination and resignation. To Jack's astonishment, the woman bore a striking resemblance to his own grandmother, who had passed away years before he was born. As Jack and I continued our hike, the significance of his story lingered in the air like a lingering mist. The chance encounter with a stranger who shared not only a passion for the wilderness, but also a mysterious family connection left me pondering the enigmatic threads that bind us to our past and to each other. It was a reminder that even in the vast expanse of nature's grandeur, the echoes of history and the whispers of coincidence can sometimes be heard, if only we're willing to listen. That day, as I bid farewell to Jack at a trail junction, I couldn't help but marvel at the serendipitous encounter that had brought us together. Our paths had crossed in the heart of the wilderness, weaving a tale of interconnectedness and discovery that would stay with me long after the echoes of our footsteps had faded into the forest's embrace. Story 4. Several summers ago, my life took a turn into the realm of the extraordinary during a journey through the vibrant landscapes of South America. It was a voyage fueled by wanderlust and a thirst for adventure, where every twist and turn seemed to unveil new wonders and unexpected connections. One particular day stands out vividly in my memory, a warm afternoon in Buenos Aires, where the rhythms of tango echoed through historic neighborhoods and the scent of freshly brewed mate permeated the air. I had spent the morning exploring colorful markets and grand boulevards, but as the sun began its descent, I found myself drawn to a quiet cafe nestled in a charming corner of the city. The cafe exuded an old-world charm, with its wrought iron tables adorned with cheery red umbrellas and walls lined with sepia-toned photographs of Buenos Aires' storied past. I settled into a corner table, ordering a steaming cup of espresso and allowing myself to bask in the tranquil ambience that seemed frozen in time. As I sipped my coffee and watched the world go by, a conversation at the neighboring table caught my attention. A group of local artists discussing their latest exhibition at a nearby gallery. Intrigued by their passion and creativity, I struck up a conversation with them, eager to learn more about the thriving arts scene in Buenos Aires. One artist in particular, Pablo, captivated me with his vibrant personality and insightful commentary on the intersection of art and culture in Argentina. He spoke eloquently about his journey as a painter, from humble beginnings in a small town to the bustling streets of the capital, where he found inspiration in the city's rich tapestry of stories and traditions. As our conversation deepened, Pablo mentioned an upcoming exhibition featuring a series of paintings inspired by the natural landscapes of Patagonia, a region I had dreamt of visiting since childhood. To my surprise, he described a specific mountain range that had captured his imagination, a remote area known for its rugged beauty and untamed wilderness. Suddenly, a sense of déjà vu washed over me as Pablo recounted his artistic process and the profound connection he felt to the landscapes he painted. It dawned on me that his description mirrored a vivid dream I had experienced years earlier, a dream in which I found myself standing atop a windswept peak, gazing out over a breathtaking vista of snow-capped mountains and crystal-clear lakes. Intrigued by the uncanny resemblance between Pablo's paintings and my dream, I shared my story with him, half expecting him to dismiss it as mere coincidence. To my surprise, Pablo's eyes widened with recognition, and he revealed that the mountain range he painted was indeed the same one from my dream, a place he had never visited but felt drawn to through a mysterious sense of familiarity and shared experience. As we exchanged stories and marveled at the serendipitous convergence of our paths, I couldn't help but ponder the profound implications of our meeting. It was as if fate had orchestrated our encounter, weaving together threads of dreams and creativity to remind us of the interconnectedness of human experience and the power of artistic expression to transcend time and space. Leaving the cafe that evening, I carried with me a newfound appreciation for the mysteries of coincidence and the transformative power of travel and connection. My encounter with Pablo in Buenos Aires remains a testament to the inexplicable bonds that unite us across cultures and continents, reminding me that sometimes the most extraordinary moments in life unfold when we least expect them. Like and subscribe.